Now, F1 is one of the most expensive and lucrative sports, resulting in higher salaries being paid to the drivers who are the best drivers in the world. Before getting to know how much each driver has earned over the past season, let's have a look at the sources of income of the drivers. Like all other professions, the main source of income for almost all of the drivers on the grid is the salary which they receive from their respective teams over the season. The next income source for the drivers are the bonuses that they receive from the teams. Bonuses can include payment for scoring a certain number of points or winning a certain number of races, or the obvious ones such as a bonus for helping the team win the Constructors' Championship or a bonus to the driver for winning the Formula 1 Drivers' World Championship. Another very important source of income for the drivers are sponsorships and endorsements or brand deals. With the evolution of social media, few of the drivers have found a new source of income through such social media websites like Instagram, YouTube and Facebook, etc. Drivers such as Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc and George Russell, etc. also play games on live streams on Twitch, which is another avenue of income for those three young drivers. Let's now discuss the salaries each driver has received in 2021, starting from the lowest. Yuki Tsunoda of AlphaTauri is the lowest earning driver on the grid with a salary of $500,000, followed by both Haas drivers Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, both Williams drivers George Russell and Nicholas Latifi, and Antonio Giovinazzi of Alfa Romeo, who earn $1 million each as salary from their respective teams. The next highest earners on the grid are Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, and Lando Norris of Alpine, AlphaTauri, and McLaren, each earning $5 million. Next on the list is Sergio Perez, who gets paid $8 million for his services, but after this fantastic season, that amount will surely increase for his role in helping Red Bull dethrone Mercedes from the Drivers' Championship. Moving on, we finally reach 7 zeros with Kimi Raikkonen, Lance Stroll, Carlos Sainz and Valtteri Bottas of Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin Racing, Ferrari and Mercedes, all being paid $10 million each. We're now slowly moving on to the big numbers, as Charles Leclerc of Ferrari earns $12 million, followed by Sebastian Vettel of Aston Martin and Daniel Ricciardo of McLaren, each earning $15 million. Moving up the ladder, the third place on our top three earners is bagged by Alpine driver Fernando Alonso, who gets a handsome $20 million. Max Verstappen of Red Bull Racing earns $25 million in salaries, while the highest earner in F1 is the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, who gets paid a whopping $47 million by Mercedes for his services, which is 4 times as much as his teammate. Now, F1 drivers might not be the highest earning individuals in the world, but they do earn a handsome amount of money each year. Here's a list of the top 10 earners in F1 in 2021, including salaries, bonuses and endorsements. At number 10 is Ferrari's new acquisition Carlos Sainz, who was the best of the rest, finishing 5th in the championship rankings and ending the season on the podium with a 3rd place finish. Sainz earns about $8 to $10 million in salaries and bonuses, and also is sponsored by beer company Estrella Galicia. At number 9 is Sainz's ex-teammate Lando Norris, who's been amazing this season with podiums and top 5 finishes in many races, although his form dipped towards the end. Although Norris earns only $3 to $5 million in salary, but he received about $6 million as a bonus for his podium finishes and is sponsored by Bell Helmets, Wear Grip and ADD Management. The young Brit also owns an esport organisation called Quadrant and spends his free time on its development, creating new content and selling his own merchandise. Number 8 on this list is none other than the honey badger Daniel Ricciardo of McLaren, who had a season of ups and downs. Ricciardo took some time to settle into his new team and was criticised heavily after a bad start, but he silenced his critics when he won his first race since leaving Red Bull this year at Monza, and also ended the season rather strongly. Along with his huge $50 million salary, he also receives bonuses for podium finishes up to $1.5 million. The Australian driver has been sponsored by the likes of GoPro, Blue Coast, Puma and more, earning about $2 million from these endorsements. Moving on, Mercedes driver Valtteri Bottas is the 7th highest earner on the grid. Bottas didn't have the best of seasons this year, but played a very important role in helping Mercedes win the Constructors' Championship for a record 8th time in a row as he leaves them for Alfa Romeo next season. Apart from the $10 million salary, Bottas earns anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million for podium and race wins. Bottas is also sponsored by Finnish companies Polar, IndyJet and Kempe. The number 6 spot is bagged by Charles Leclerc of Scuderia Ferrari. Often labelled as a generational talent by many pundits and legends, Charles Leclerc was poor this season as per his high standards, although luck might not have favoured him in a few instances. Leclerc has the longest contract of any driver on the grid, which earns him an annual salary of $12 million. Leclerc also earns a huge sum of money from his sponsorships and brand deals with huge companies such as Sky Wi-Fi, Richard Mille and Giorgio Armani. At number 5 comes driver number 5, the 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, whose first season with Aston Martin did not go as planned, but he hopes that the second year will be way better. Sebastian Vettel earns $15 million in salary alone and a bonus for securing P2 at Baku. Sebastian Vettel is also one of the highest earners in the form of endorsements, being sponsored by brands such as Casio, Cell, Infinity and Pepe Jeans. He could earn a lot more from social media, but he generally keeps himself away from the virtual world. Now bagging the 4th position is Red Bull's racing Sergio Perez, who went from being without a team at the end of 2020 to becoming the best number 2 driver on the grid, helping Max Verstappen win the Drivers' Championship. For his excellent services, Checo receives a salary of only $8 million, which is not among the highest in the grid, but his bonuses are higher than his salaries, amounting up to $13 million. Checo also receives a handsome amount from his sponsors from Mexico, i.e. Telmex, Telcel and Claro. Starting off with the podium places, Fernando Alonso of Alpine is the 3rd highest paid driver on the grid, earning $20 million as salary and receiving a huge bonus for a podium finish. As per reports, Fernando Alonso bags a humble amount of $1 million from endorsements. At number 2 is current F1 world champion Max Verstappen, who has $25 million as salary and another $17 million in the form of bonuses for podium race wins and winning the world championship, taking his net salary to $42 million, hence making him one of the top 50 earning athletes in the world. Max also earns about $2 to $3 million in endorsement deals from Jumbo Supermarkets, Ziggo, G-Star Raw, etc. Although he's lost his world championship, Lewis Hamilton is still the highest paid driver on the grid with an annual salary of $47 million and another $7 million in form of bonuses. Lewis Hamilton is one of the most popular athletes in the world and hence has some of the highest paying endorsements, receiving $12 million from huge brands such as Tommy Hilfiger, Puma, Bose, etc. Besides these, he also owns his own team in the Extreme E-Series, i.e. X44. Lewis Hamilton ranks 8th in the list of the world's highest earning athletes with a total earning of $82 million. From the above data, we can see one clear thing, that the more experienced and more skilled drivers are paid the most and the less experienced very less as compared to the top earners. So the question arises why some drivers earn more than others and what are the factors that decide such disparities in salaries of various drivers. The first reason being experience. We see that the likes of Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen earn way much more than their teammates due to the experience and the fact that they're all former world champions, and any team would love to have them not just because of their experience but the economic value or economic pull they have, which is another big reason for such high salaries. Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton are some of the biggest names in the sports industry, let alone F1, and hence bring with them high following and sponsorships valuable for their respective teams, so therefore they're paid such high salaries. But experience and economic pull aren't the only factors that determine the salary. Just like every other sport, the most important factor is skill. If you're not skillful enough, you won't be racing in F1, hence along with experience and economic value, these drivers are the best of the best and hence earn the amount they deserve. Skill is the main reason why Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc earn so much, as they're believed to be the best drivers along with the veterans, with many labeling them as generational talents. Another reason why these drivers are paid so much is the risk they take. Romain Grosjean's crash in Bahrain last season was just an example of the huge risk these drivers take to provide great entertainment to us and hence deserve every penny they receive. So now we can see why Formula 1 drivers are some of the highest paid personalities in the world due to the money they earn via their salaries, bonuses and endorsements. So what do you think of the money earned by the Formula 1 drivers? Do you think it's a fair split between experience and skill? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like this video then hit the thumbs up and subscribe to Pit Stop.